20% of Americans believe that President Obama is a Muslim. You know, indeed he is honored to be Muslim if he is, but he is not. 20%, imagine 20% of American people and maybe 80% of Republican think that way. That he is Muslim. You know, when I met Terry Jones, Pastor Terry Jones, the Quran burner, I asked him this simple question. I asked him, have you read the Quran? He says, no. I said, how did you burn a book that you never read? Yeah, I've never read the Quran. The Quran speaks about your so-called Lord. Jesus, of course, he's not Lord. He's a messenger of God, but to Pastor Terry Jones, he is his Lord. I said, the Quran that you burn praises Jesus more than 124 times. You have not given yourself the opportunity to read that Quran. Now, do you think that Terry Jones is an exception? No. This is a typical answer in this country. Most people have not read the Quran. Most people do not know what Islam is. Terry Jones speaks about the Sharia law. I asked him, do you know what Sharia law? Define for me the Sharia law. He admitted that his knowledge is so limited in the Sharia law. And you imagine this man who rocked the United States and the world probably with his actions. You may think that he has many followers. He himself doesn't have that many followers, only 30 people in his church. You can put them all in one small room. But that's a typical answer. Americans do not know much about our faith. I bet you they know about the sex life of Tiger Woods and Michael Jackson than they know about our faith. They don't know much about Islam. So who's going to teach them? Who's going to tell them? I remember in 1999, I was at the White House with Dr. Hassan Al-Qazwini. You remember that, doctor? During Clinton's time? We were invited, both Dr. Hassan Al-Qazwini and I, and maybe another 100 scholars. We were invited to the White House during President Clinton's time. I stood up and I complained about the stereotypical views that Muslims suffer from in this country. That was before 9/11. And Clinton was listening to me careful. Then he answered. He said that Americans lack basic knowledge about your faith, you Muslims. And he said, I am a witness to that. He says, I did not know much about Islam till my daughter Chelsea went to college and she was taking world-class religion class. So she would come home and teaches me and her mother about Islam. Thanks to Chelsea for teaching the President of the United States the basics about Islam. You know? Then he said something very interesting. He says, you Muslims have no excuse not to teach Americans about your Islam, not to educate them. You have all the freedom to do so, and no one can stop you if you want to educate Americans about your faith. Why don't you go ahead and do that? It is true, my dear brothers and sisters. We complain that Terry Jones did this, Pat Robertson did that, but what is our role? What did we do? Sometimes we are so consumed with our infighting, with wasting our time on things that are irrelevant, and that's why we often lose sight from doing what we're supposed to do, inviting people to the path of Allah, trying to educate Americans and non-Muslims in general about our faith. This is what we really need to always focus on. And lastly, my dear brothers and sisters, Dr. Hassan Al-Qazwini mentioned Amman message. I think we need more than Amman message. We Muslims need to establish, in my opinion, the world World Islamic Assembly, in which Muslim scholars from all schools of thought, Shia, Sunni, Salafi, Sufi, you name it, are represented in this assembly. It is not one once in lifetime meeting. It is a permanent assembly, a permanent council that brings these scholars together. It should have a branch in Cairo, a branch in Riyadh, a branch in Baghdad, and another branch in Tehran. This World Muslim Assembly should work on narrowing the gap between the Muslim sects and schools of thought, to do taqleed between them. That's what we really need, my dear brothers and sisters. And I conclude with this. The Prophet ﷺ says, as Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib narrates, "Islah that al-bayn, reconciling between Muslims, khayrun min ammat as-salat was-siyam, has more reward than your prayers and fasting." Jews and Christians fought with each other for 2,000 or 3,000 years, and finally they came to peaceful terms, and they are now working together. On whose coast? On the Muslim coast. They start bashing each other. They don't attack each other. Now they are working. Now in every town in this country, in every state in this country, there is Christian, Jewish understanding center. They no longer fight with each other. The Christians themselves, the Protestants and Catholics, read their history. They fought for almost 2,000 years. Thousands of people were killed. Oceans of blood were shed between them. But in the end, they came into peaceful terms. They talk with each other now. They have dialogue among themselves. It is about time, my dear brothers and sisters, that we Muslims also, we stop our fighting and our bashing each other, and work with each other, and have a dialogue among ourselves, and work on one common ground, and that is to spread the word of Islam, the word of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.